Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the 6 Yard Banter. Your front row seat to the Premier League's top six drama with a Chelsea twist. Here, it's Chelsea first and rivals next. Alright, guys. I honestly thought I'd seen the worst possible game of football at Old Trafford last week. I thought nothing could ever top that mess, and then Chelsea came along last night, and decided to prove me wrong. Because what I saw against a League One Lincoln side, that was a different level of painful. Chelsea were flat, lifeless, and they lacked cutting edges and no urgency at all. And this is against a team that should never be allowed to make us look that average. At times, Lincoln were actually braver on the ball, pressing high, forcing mistakes, and honestly looked like they wanted it more. We talk about this squad having all this talent, £100 million midfielders, youngsters with crazy potentials, but when it matters, they looked clueless, like they had no plans at all. Yes, you can blame rotations, you can point out injuries, but come on, this is Chelsea Football Club. Performances like this should never happen, especially against a League One side. You can't tell me Maresca would actually sit down there watching this and thinking, yeah, these are the tools I needed. For me, this wasn't just bad football. It was embarrassing. This first half was so embarrassing. And I'm gonna point out Jamie Gittins and especially Jamie Gittins. I don't know what Chelsea saw, but man, what they saw is different from what I'm seeing. It looked so raw, devoid of confidence, and I dare say it looked really scared. I don't know. Should I call it fear or maybe shy? But you can't even say it's shy. And then the first half just looked so horrible to watch. Like it was really really horrible. Anyway, so let's just go straight into the game. And so Chelsea started with a 4-2-3-1, back four of Gusto, Fofana, uh, Chaluba, and Hato, and midfield pairing of Santos, Fernandez, and back the three behind the striker was Gittins, Buonanotte, and Garnacho, and Tyrick George led the line. Well, turned out that McGill can also is eligible to play in the Carabao, but was the club got informed late about this, and hence wasn't going to be ready for the game. Cole Palmer has now been confirmed to be out for about 8 weeks, and we're gonna wrap this match review with Cole Palmer's news. So the first half, like I said, Lincoln turned Chelsea, having piled so much pressure on Chelsea from the get go. They looked like I said, they wanted this game more than Chelsea did. Chelsea looked like we could hardly string three passes together going forward. Every pass that was completed was at the back line. It's either Gusto passing back to Chaloba and Chaloba to Fofana, then Fofana to the keeper, and the keeper down to Hato, and vice versa. This was just everything. And I don't know what to say as regards to Enzo Fernandez, but it looks like he needs a break. And this is no word of a lie. Enzo Fernandez in his best moment can be a match decider for the team. But it looks leggy, it looks tired, and like he could do with maybe 2 3 weeks break. And I don't think Chelsea have that to give to any player now, especially the rate at which players are dropping like flies. Most recently, Cole Palmer, who happens to be our talisman. Now, I don't know whether it's Enzo's position that is playing, or maybe the coach has to Maresca has to think of a better way to use him. Probably playing from a deep playing position like Perlo did and all that. And if you watch Enzo Fernandez, maybe we could just keep him sitting at the base of the midfield, and maybe be able to do better, because I think he did very well when he newly joined Chelsea and played from that position. And he'll be able to make use of his long range passes and dictate the game more. Probably push Caicedo forward. Maybe Maresca has to start considering that, because this Fernandez that I'm seeing this season is a shell and a shadow of what we saw last season. Yeah, so Chelsea looked very fragile defensively. I don't know if it has to do with Fofana coming back from injury and it's still trying to get still acclimatized to the intensity and the pace of the game. But whatever it is, we just look clueless at the back. We just look clueless all over. The ball gets to Gittins and wow, it ends there. He ends up passing back. And this is the same thing we got from Sancho last season. And looks like Gittins is going to be a Pro Max level of Sancho. Whatever needs to happen to Gittins to get into losing up and attack spaces more should happen in time, because we do not have, this is Chelsea Football Club, we don't have all that time. We have to win games as soon as now. And the gap between Chelsea's position and the top is starting to grow massively. We have to find ways to start closing up. Now, players that showed flashes for me is Santos. Santos looks more ready to play, and it looks like he's more ready. He's ready to take Enzo Fernandez's position. Gittins was trying to drive forward, but the link up wasn't going well. It looked isolated at times. I don't know. I think, like I said, I think in the last 3 video that I posted, I think I mentioned something like Maresca trying to loosen up tactically sometimes. I mean, stop being pragmatic. Instead of using inverted fullbacks all the time, having the players like wing backs invert, why not allow them combine with the wingers up front, and so that they can create space, because sometimes you invert and the wingers don't have an outlet to play through. I think sometimes he needs to be able to adapt and do something differently. Okay, in the first half, had to look lost. Gittins looked lost. Garnacho was just getting fouled every now and then. Seemed like he wanted to do something, but he wasn't getting any outlets, because there was no one walking that line with him, the wing with him, like the left back bombing forward and all that. So he hardly had enough room. If he was, whenever he finds himself, he was with the ball. 2 players or 3 players were closing him down. The same for Gittins, so it was just very difficult. So yeah, Maresca needs to find a way around certain games. Now, for Santos solid energy, tried to break Lincoln's rhythm, but the duo with the connection with Enzo Fernandez just kept breaking. I don't know. And Enzo was the one who lost the ball that led to the Lincoln goal. The Lincoln had their lead set pieces, direct play and pressure. Chelsea almost always seemed we just looked like we were on the back foot. Jorgensen was always very nervy. I don't know. I don't know. I think the conference cup last season made it look like Jorgensen was ready to compete with Sanchez, but is this is starting to expose a lot of players and bring a lot of fans to reality that what was saw wasn't wasn't it at all. The first half ended, and I believe that Maresca must have spoken with the players and probably given them a barrage of everything that needed to be given. They came in the second half, and they they, they were tactical tweaks that he did, like push the players more. Like the players played with more urgency. Players played for the forward players played more direct and less sideways passing. He had to reset the defensive shape, better communication, tighter through balls, and you could see that in the second half they were coping with the Lincoln's long throw and direct attacks. I don't know. Whatever I said to them, I think he needs to. But I'm starting to. I have a feeling that there's starting to be some um, tension rising between Maresca and the sporting directors because, and I'm not gonna blame him, man. I'm not gonna blame him, and I wouldn't want Maresca to leave. But at some point, if you remember, I said at some point he's gonna be feeling really, really disappointed and hard done by. This man wants to win. He wants to challenge, and then they keep giving him babies to work with. How is he gonna win anything? The defensive line is crying for experience, and Tosin is not. Tosin is doing his best, but we're not getting it on a consistent level. And the same goes for Chaloba. Fofana, we cannot count on him because each time he goes down, we have our hearts in our mouth. He could be getting up injured. So yeah, he cried for defensive experience. He cried for a goalkeeper to improve the goalkeeping area. Now we also asked for winger, and the sporting directors went on to get us Ganacho and Gittins for 90 million when we could have just gotten Rodrigo for 80 million. And yeah, so it's just looking like Maresca isn't happy, and there is starting to be. I'm sensing some tension. I don't know. I'm not there, but I feel like you could see his demeanor and his countenance is not as it was last season. If he had to do so much to get Chelsea through the line last season, and thanks to luck as well on our side, the remaining teams that were fighting for the top four last season crumbled. It should not be that we have to be in a position where we are going to have to be crawling and fighting for the top four again. This man wants to challenge. He wants to do something different, and the sporting directors are dealing him players that are not up to it. We can. Esteval is a good player. We know that, and one for the future and all that. And he's starting to show it. But he's a special player. We don't have special players all over the pitch. We only have one special talent, and that's Esteval. And it can only take us so far. Anyway, the second half, they came with more. They played with urgency, and I think credit to the early goal in the second half from Tyreek George. Tyreek George, I think he knows. From what I've noticed about Tyreek George, he knows how to hit the ball well. He did that against Fulham last season, and he's done that again last night against Lincoln, and that was what brought Chelsea back into the game. And he made another assist to Buonanotte, and he danced right through the defense line and pocketed the keeper. The substitutions in the second half brought on energy and urgency. Players like Esteval coming on for Garnacho, uh, Pedro Neto also came on, and Marco Corella also came on in the second half for Enzo Fernandez, and you could see that passes were starting to connect, especially in the midfield, because in the first half, Enzo and Santos, there was so much disconnection between both of them, they could hardly string three passes together, like I said. You could see the difference between Cucurella playing in the midfield versus Enzo Fernandez. And this is not me saying Cucurella should bench Enzo Fernandez in the midfield. That's not even his best position. But then you have to, these conversations needs to be had. Should we consider giving Enzo Fernandez some time off to rejuvenate and get, work on his fitness level? I think everything has to do with fitness level. So yeah, Lincoln still gave threats, especially in the wide areas and set pieces, but Chelsea managed to absorb the pressure. Late moments as well came on, and we could see some shaky moments from Chelsea, especially the goalkeeper Jorgensen coming out for the ball and then still end up missing it and all that. So yeah, that's that. Okay, we need to have a conversation about the squad immaturity and obvious holes. There is so much gap in experience, and this experience is going to, I don't know, might cost Chelsea a lot this season. A lot of teams slept on Chelsea last season because they overlooked that the players were too young and all that. But this having won the Club World Cup and all that, they are not gonna take Chelsea on seriously or take Chelsea for granted. They're gonna come at Chelsea from the get go, and it is in situations like this that the experiences are needed, which is lacking in Chelsea in the current squad. How are we gonna go about this? A lot of the players that we have in the squad have not played so much. Cup ties, I mean, sorry, cup upsets, hostile crowds, physical plays. Yesterday was obvious in the game against Lincoln, and the physicality looked like Chelsea was lacking in it. Now the depth concern and concerns with Palmer out, and we have Levi Colwell also out. But the Shield is still working on his fitness and recovery, as well as Lavia. The squad depth is so is not is not as okay, and we cannot be over reliant. Now Palmer is out. We're not going to put so much pressure on Esteval. This is what we're saying. If a kid needs to be paid into the league and into the squad gradually, and now this amount of pressure is going to be put on him. The squad depth is really concerning, and Maresca doesn't is obviously showing that he doesn't trust a lot of these young players. He could use Garnacho now and then, but I think he's not going to have so much use for. He's not going to want to use Gittins or trust Gittins as much as he would, he ought to or he should. The same for Marquis, who has been recalled from Sunderland, and for that reason got cup tied. But then we called him to shore up the void for the injured Liam Delap, and the man has not had a sniff, or has not even had. He hasn't been given a chance. Rather, Tyreek George has been preferred ahead of him. So Maresca needs to start to trust these players. If after trusting them and then they belie expectations or they don't meet up to his expectations, then that's on the sporting directors. Yeah, we can all say that this is the sporting director's fault for giving him players that are not even up to what he needs, giving him different players from what he requires or demanded for, or cried out for. So we all know that sporting directors have dealt him badly. But then again, you use what you have, and you can only do what you can do. And we'll still have to have a conversation as regards the sporting directors or the higher ups, because this is not what we want. And we will be left behind. Other teams are doing so much for their teams. We will end up being left behind if we continue in this trend. Okay, so yeah, Maresca should have to start to trust the young players more. And now let's wrap up with Cole Palmer being confirmed to be out for nearly to between 3 to 8 weeks. And the games that is gonna miss out on are games that Chelsea need Cole Palmer. It just gets worse, yeah. So Palmer Palmer's injury has to do with the groin area, and it's been confirmed that rather than surgery, they're still contemplating if to um, have him go for surgery. And if that is the case, they want to make sure that is the last resort. Now, without him, we're going to be losing a lot of creativity. And the reason I say this is because we don't have a striker, and the only recognized striker right now that we have, who is not even an out and out striker, is João Pedro. And if Palmer was available and Liam Delap was available, we could have João Pedro play from the 10 and have Palmer play from the right wing. Okay, but Liam Delap is out, and now we have to cover up Liam Delap's position with João Pedro and Palmer slot into the 10, then Estevan William coming from the right. And now that Palmer is also out and declared to be is going to be absent for close to 8 weeks, we have two important players out. The creativity is now going to be very, very is going to be missing. No one will be taking risk. I don't know how many players we have that's going to be willing to take risk like Cole Palmer. Anyway, that this is where I say at some point Maresca is just going to have to learn to trust some of these players. Someone like Buonanotte or Garnacho cannot do the job that Palmer will do or does on a regular basis, but then we just have to give them the give them the time, and hopefully they can do something close, even if not close up to what Palmer does. Yeah, it's a mess right now, man. This should anyway. I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about everything that I've said. What do you think Chelsea could have done better against Lincoln? Do you think what I've said as regards the game is justified, or do you think that due to squad rotation, something like this was expected? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and hit your notification bell so that every time I post or make a post, you're notified, and then you have the opportunity to listen to everything that has been talked about. As we move on to look forward to the game between Brighton versus Chelsea. I'll be releasing my putting out my match preview for that on Friday. So don't forget to check out this space. And if there's any other thing that we need to talk about or that comes out in the news, I'll be here to discuss them with you. And until we meet again, it's Chelsea first, rivals next. Peace.